Hello, my wonderful, wonderful friends. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People, where you'll hear stories about people who truly believe that nobody else matters in life but them. My friends, I hope you're having a great day today, and it's about to get a little bit better if you enjoy these Entitled People stories. So in this episode, you're going to hear 3 ridiculous stories. The first is an entitled woman who calls the cops on OP because he wouldn't give her child his bike. The second story, a Karen gets a little bit more than she bargains for when wanting to cut in line at a supermarket. And we'll finish up with a story about an entitled sister who doesn't understand why OP won't house her child for free, because family should always do that for one another, right? My friends, buckle up for this ride because it's another wild one. I hope you stay for the stories today and hit that subscribe button for future Entitled People stories. Let's dive in. This first story is titled, Kid Finds a Bike in My Backyard. Mom Goes Berserk When I Take It Back. So a little bit of backstory. I'm a single parent. I have a beautiful girl that's turning 5 in August. The past year, I've been fighting with an ex that tried to keep my kid away from me. Lawyers aren't cheap, and being single doesn't exactly help with my finances. A couple of months ago, I won the lawsuit and finally got to have my kid at my home again. For the past few weeks, she was saying that she wanted a bicycle, but since I was still recovering from the lawsuit and bills, I wasn't able to afford it. So the past week, I got my summer bonus, which finally gave me the financial boost I needed. So yesterday, I was able to buy my little girl her bike that she wanted so badly. I enjoyed my time with her riding our bikes, but then it was getting close to dinner time, which I still had to make. So we head back home and park the bikes in the backyard. We go inside and I start making dinner. After about 10 minutes, I spot movement in the corner of my eye through the kitchen window. I see this kid, I'm guessing 6 or 7 years old, just casually strolling by with a brand new bike that I just got today. My heart dropped. I run to the front door, hoping I'd catch him before he rides away. I was lucky I did. I pulled the bike out of his hands and freaked out to him, saying that it was mine, and he had no right to just walk into other people's backyard to take things. I was pissed. I forced him to get off my property and set the bike inside my front hallway, thinking it's over. And boy was I wrong. After comforting my little girl that had never seen me this angry, I returned to the kitchen to continue making dinner. 15 minutes later, the doorbell rings. It's the kid and his mother. The conversation goes like this. The mother says, "You give my boy his bike back. He said he found it and you took it away from him. It's his." I told her, "He found it in my backyard. I just bought it for my daughter today. You should try teaching your kid that he shouldn't trespass on other people's property to take their things." The mother responded, "Don't tell me how to raise my kid. Give me the bike back or I'm calling the police." I laughed and said, "Call the police," and slammed the door in her face. By this point, my 4-year-old's crying her eyes out as she's thinking that she's losing her brand new bike. Her sobbing is finally over. I try to continue making dinner yet again, and with preparations done, I'm about to put it all on the stove when I hear the doorbell again. I storm to the door, thinking it's the woman again. I violently open it, getting ready to just explode into her face. And guess what? She actually called the cops. I instantly calm down when I see it's the police and invite one of the 2 officers inside while the other stays with the woman. I explain the situation and show him the box the bike came in, along with the receipt that has my name on it. He shrugs and apologized for the inconvenience and assured me that I won't be bothered again. I let him out and closed the door with a smug smile on my face. I check the front window to see what's happening, and I see her go into a full tantrum. It ends with her into handcuffs and on the back seat of the patrol car. I don't know what happened to her, and I don't care. I finally finished dinner, and my kid still has her bike, and that's all that matters to me. Boy, what a day. Do people still do finders keepers nowadays? If my hypothetical child ever rolled a random bike home, I'd make him take it back to where he found it. 1, because it probably belongs to someone. And 2, you never know where that bike has been or who's looking for it. I don't need to be attracting people to my door looking for a bike that my kid happened to roll home. What the heck did she think the police were gonna do for her? Make OP give her back the bike that her child stole from his yard? Talk about entitled, my friends. Talk about entitled. This next story is titled, Entitled Mom Wants to Skip the Line. Gets a lot more than she wanted. So before I dive into the story, 35 degrees Celsius is about 95 degrees Fahrenheit. A need to know detail. It was about 35 degrees Celsius, but it felt like 44. It's an important detail for later. So I was standing in line at the checkout at my local supermarket. I think in total I had about 10 items, some frozen goods, drinks, and snacks. At this time, the woman at the cash register was taking care of the payment of one client, and there was one person in front of me. And suddenly, she appeared, the entitled woman in this story. Now, honestly, she didn't look like it. She didn't even give off a mean vibe or anything. Even the way she started talking to me was overall nice and polite. At first. She said, "Excuse me, do you mind if I skip ahead? I'm in a hurry." Now, in general, if somebody politely asks me this and I don't have any urgent business of my own, I usually don't mind. This time, however, I didn't have that many groceries, so her delay would be at most a few minutes, while she was pushing a fully loaded shopping cart in front of her. If I were to let her skip, I'd probably be in the store for another 10 to 20 minutes, so I politely decline and I tell her that I will hurry as much as I can. Of course, this was a great offense. I had not given this woman her entitlement, and she blew up instantly. She was yelling and screaming at me that she was in a hurry, and I'm not kidding here, she had to be home in time for her shows. Now, at this time, I would like to point out that during this rant, she only said she needed to be home in time for shows and that they were very important to her. There was nothing else making this urgent for her. This is important for later. Now, while this woman was going off, the person at the cash register went into full ignore mode and just started scanning my groceries. While I was loading it in the bag, the entitled woman was going on about how I was garbage and they should ban me from the store. Now, this should have been the end of it. Just turn around and go home and forget this all happened. But then she said something that 1, made me almost want to kill her, and 2, made this a postable story. While I was walking away, just about to put my earbuds back in, she yells, "If you pass by my car, tell my son that you're the reason he has to wait another half hour for me." Now, I'm not an extremely smart person, but in this moment, my brain made some connections quickly. What I realized was this. 1, again, it was very hot outside. 2, this woman had been in the store for a while, judging by the amount of groceries. 3, the entire parking lot of the store almost had no shade. And 4, it was about 2 p.m., so the sun was just over its peak. It was very hot outside. I rush outside and start running past cars, scanning them for kids inside, and thankfully, one of the first cars I pass has a small child laying in the back seat. This kid is as pale as a ghost, and it looked like he was only half conscious. I run back inside, and to my utter astonishment, this woman is having a conversation with the cashier while she's checking out her groceries. I grab her by the shoulders, spin her around, and almost yell into her face that her kid is literally dying in her car. I told her, if you don't do something right now, I'm smashing in your windows and calling the cops. At first she looked at me in complete confusion, probably never been spoken to like that before in her life. Then the realization of what I told her sunk in, and she rushed outside. While she went outside, a man tapped me on the shoulder and asked what happened. I explained the situation, leaving out the bit at the cash register, and just saying how I saw the kid in the car and I knew this woman was probably the owner. He went outside, and when I came outside, the entitled woman suddenly rushed to me and got into my face saying I was the reason she was in the store for so long and her son's current condition was my fault. Before I can even respond, the man that approached me earlier speaks up. It turns out this man was an off-duty cop. He also said that he already called an ambulance for the kid and the cops for her. I don't know what happened to the entitled woman, but she completely crashed. She just sat down on the pavement and started shaking her head, not saying much except the occasional sob or "not my fault." As for the ending, everything turned out okay for most parties. I stayed a while to give a statement to the cops and my contact info just in case it went to court. The kid was okay afterwards, and since his mom got arrested, they had to call his dad or another family member to accompany him to the hospital. As for the entitled woman, not sure if she'll just get a fine or jail time. What the heck is this woman thinking? This story actually angers me so much. The fact that she left a helpless child in a vehicle on a hot day and was telling OP how she was rushing home to watch her shows. Like, priorities, please. I'm so glad everything turned out to be okay. OP is a freaking hero. This story is titled, "My Entitled Sister Wants Me to House My Niece for Free During Uni." My niece had to move back in with her mother after the lockdown started. She lost her job and all of her classes were online. Her lease was month to month, so she didn't have to worry about breaking her lease. Recently, the schools have reopened and she has started attending classes again. The problem is her apartment, which was walking distance from the university, is now rented. Parking in the area sucks, and it's an hour away from her mother's house on public transit. I will say now that my niece is also incredibly spoiled and is taking classes for a degree with no practical benefits. By this, I mean that it will no way help her with her career path, nor are they necessary courses for further education. I got a call from my sister asking if my niece could live with me because I live alone in a 2-bedroom house and I'm a 15-minute bus trip away from her uni. I said no for several reasons. I work nights and need to sleep during the day. My niece is a very loud young woman and doesn't understand the concept of an indoor voice. The last time she stayed in the same home as me, I was sleep deprived because of her practically yelling on her phone, and it affected how I did my job, resulting in a write-up. My niece is also a very messy person. I helped with the move out, and the memory still makes me shudder. Some of the unwashed dishes in the sink were tossed because they were beyond cleaning. While I may have a 2-bedroom home, the second room is my office and workroom. I've been in the process of making wire-wrapped necklaces to sell online for extra income, and I need the extra area as workspace. It's also my library, for lack of a better word. I keep my collection of novels on bookshelves in there, and a comfy old recliner for reading in. My niece is allergic to cats, and I have 3. My sister seems to think that I can keep them all either in my bedroom or locked up in the basement for the school year. And this is the big one. My old sister is under the belief that my niece would not have to help out with any household expenses or be expected to cook for herself. She also thinks that my niece should not have to get a job while in school to focus on her studies. She tried to pull the whole "we're family and should help each other out" card. The only way that I would agree for my niece to live with me is that if she were to give me $250 a month to help cover utilities and a part of the internet. I figured that that's a steal, considering a cheap place around her school is more than double or even triple that, plus utilities. And she could use the garage for her car for free. Now I'm getting texts from both sisters telling me that I'm a horrible person and that I should open up my home to this. They told me that it's unreasonable to expect a 19-year-old to spend 2 hours on the bus every day and yada yada. A part of me feels guilty because I could move my office and workspace down into the basement, but I can't afford the expense of a second person in my home without them chipping in for the bills, nor will I lock my cats away in their home. I absolutely love when entitled people use the family line in the stories. But your family, you should do this for us. Being related to somebody does not mean that you should always do anything and everything for them. What do you guys think? If you were OP, would you open up your own home to your 19-year-old niece in this exact same situation? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. And my friends, that wraps up another episode of r/Entitled People. If you guys enjoyed the stories in this episode, be sure to check out my last episode if you missed it. Karen tries to get a family evicted, and it totally backfires on her. It's an absolutely hilarious story, so check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I love you.